morning. I'm Eric Lohman, the General Manager here at Monarch Beach Golf Links. We'd like to welcome everybody to our first ever influencer event. I think we have a wonderful program here today, and we're very excited about it. President Kiefer and the rest of the board challenged me not too long ago to be the chairman of the Mentorship Committee, and through that we've come up with this great program which we think we'll all enjoy today, and hopefully you will all enjoy it, and then we'll use this as a framework for some events moving on into the future. But we have a wonderful group of 3 different panels. This morning we're going to do a panel with some of our fellow golf professionals, some industry leaders. There's a middle panel that will discuss some sales and marketing related to private and public clubs and some technology that is now we use in regards to that. And then finally this afternoon we'll have a wonderful panel of some people who I consider mentors, and this is normal for me, so just get used to it. So, but on behalf of Monarch Beach Golf Links and OB Sports, we just want to welcome everybody, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know some of you have to leave early, and some people are going to be showing up late, but we just appreciate everybody taking the time to be a part of this first annual event. With that being said, I want to introduce 2 people who are going to do a quick introduction and welcoming. First is Mr. John Roby, the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Monarch Beach Resort. We're one of the nice amenities here at the Monarch Beach Resort, so we appreciate John's time. And then finally, Todd Kiefer, the President of the section. So first, John, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. As Eric said, I'm John Roby, Director of Sales and Marketing at Monarch Beach Resort. I've just been at this great location for about 8 months, and I think I'm going to stay a little longer. Really thrilled to have everybody with us today. A lot of moving parts in the last couple of years at the resort. This has been the stable piece for the last few years as we renovated every piece of the property and took it from a more formal setting to a beach house, and our beach house leads to this great golf facility. So as you can see, the grass is green. I know the sun is going to come out. I played golf with Eric once. He hasn't invited me back yet. I'm not sure what that says. He knows what kind of work my game needs, but this is a tremendous facility, resort-wide, golf-wide. We feel very fortunate here. We're the only ones in our competitive set that offer it all, and golf is a big piece of offering it all. Everybody has different pieces, beaches, pools, the ocean, the spa, but we have the golf, which really is kind of the crown in our jewel, if you will. So I put together a little 75-slide PowerPoint. I'm just going to run through real quick. Kidding, I would never do that. But just appreciate the opportunity, Eric, to come down and say good morning. Welcome to Monarch Beach Resort, Monarch Beach Golf Links. Appreciate you being here. Hope you have a very productive day, and thank you for all you do for the game of golf. And that's all I have today.
Thank you very much.
Right.
And I think we all owe the resort a debt of gratitude, and a thank you for offering us some special pricing today and underwriting the event as well. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Forever will be known as Eric Lohman Special Menu.
Yeah, thank you.
We're happy to have you. Have a great day.
Mr. Kiefer, Mr. President Kiefer, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks very much for being here, everyone. As Eric mentioned, back in our annual meeting, board meeting, we had talked about how do we get more of our fellow professionals engaged with not only the game of golf, but also with each other, and kind of learn from each other. And so the mentoring committee was started off in the task force by our honorary president, John McNair. And so we kind of said, well, who could really kind of run with this? And of course, Eric was the obvious choice. And I think he's reached out to many of you to try to be a part of this. Really, the goal is really on a few levels. One is, I think most of us came to the game of golf through some sort of invitation. And much the way in our business life and every day of our regular lives, we need people to kind of help us along the way. And I think all of us had some help. And so the idea of today was to have fun, to really kind of focusing on some great networking opportunities, and to kind of learn from each other. So we appreciate you being here today, and hopefully you enjoy the program.
Perfect. Well, we have a couple. I did have some official announcements. I did want to recognize some sponsors. Obviously, we just talked to John, and we do owe the resort a debt of gratitude for helping us out today with everything. And actually, before I get to that, I just wanted to thank Ariana Gomez, Brianne Mitchell, Sharon Kirkman, who's not here today, and obviously Tom Addis and the folks from the section staff who, this event would never happen without their support. We just couldn't pull it together. I don't think we'd get the message out either, so I just want to say thank you to those folks. But in no particular order, we do have some really outstanding sponsors that have come forward today to help us underwrite the event. And some of them are in attendance, and some of them will potentially speak it by the end of the day. But in no particular order, we have Callaway Golf, Oakley, Underpar.com, Quick 18, UBS Financial, represented by Chris Hines, Stance Socks. Hopefully, everybody get a pair of socks. When's the last time you went somewhere where they gave you a pair of socks? Come on. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? X18 Beacon Speakers right here to my left. Morgan Stanley, represented by Raf Bengachea. Pepsi, who's producing Pepsi. Ooh, I like that. This Mike loves Pepsi. Pacific Wine and Spirits, Cisco Food, Golden Road Brewery, one of my personal favorites. PSAV, thank you for the support with the AV, and then again, the golf course and the resort. So with that being said, we'd like to call up the first panel, and our moderator, who is Mr. Kiefer. The panel come on up, we'll have them introduce themselves. I think they know who they are, and they can talk. So this is Twitter as the moderator. This is for one of the panel. This is for... All right, the floor is yours. I can't get around the table. Yeah.
Well, good morning. Again, everybody knows who I am, but we'll start with Susan Roll. Maybe just give a little introduction.
Good morning, beautiful people, and thank you for being here as part of this introductory mentor program. And when we had this idea, I really hope that as we pay it forward and pay it back, so to speak, that we could get more of these wonderful leaders that I see here in this room, and as part of our section, to get us all together and figure out ways where we can introduce more people to the game, get our professionals more involved and more excited about a profession. And I think by sharing ideas and doing this kind of thing, we'll get there. So thank you for being a part of this first one. My background comes from a long time ago in South Dakota, Nebraska. I grew up on a ranch, so going way back, I just dug a hole out in a pasture, literally. So I was an architect, golf architect, very early, about age 6. And from then, I went to a small town in Nebraska, where again, I just begged my parents to bring me golfing. So I have no idea where this came from. My parents barely played. My mom was, bless her heart, she absolutely loved the game. She'd go out and play with me all the time, but she never would listen to me, honestly. She just would never listen to me. I tried to help her, but we had a wonderful time, and as a family sport. And I remember back when we were first playing, I remember we had to pay $500 for the entire year, and that was our membership. And I just remember having that huge opportunity to be able to play. I had a coach. He donated basically his time to me to help me, and I wouldn't have gotten started at all if he hadn't just done that. We didn't have the money there were no coaches or pros around, so he got out there. He was a college professor, and he helped me with my game, and took me to tournaments all over the country from there. And from then on, I just went to college and played Division I golf, and loved the game, loved the sport. Had some rough roads along the way, some negative experiences that I learned equally as much from. And then eventually I moved to Denver. I worked for equipment companies. Titleist and Cobra brought me out to California. That's where I met Tom Addis and many of the wonderful people in this room. And then eventually I was able to buy my own golf center. That was probably one of my crazier things I've ever done, and scarier moments, but it worked out, and 14 years later we're very successful, and it's been a great run. And we do many things now, not just in golf, but in fulfillment, and do an online business as well, so it's been a lot of fun. And
We just wish you had more achievement in your life. You achieved so much already. John McNair, a little introduction of yourself and glad that you're here.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Kiefer. First off, I'm very excited to be here. As the golf business has changed over the last 25, 30 years, we need more things like this with mentorship, because especially apprentices, the definition of apprentices, we spend a lot of time with them, is the business needs to get greater and greater. It's more challenging to spend that time. So things like this are excellent. My name is John McNair. I run JC Resorts. We have 11 courses, and my start in the business mentor was my father, who was a golf professional at the same course for 38 years. And so I started before the labor laws of today, we'll do this today, but I was 10 years old, parking carts, picking the range, and in the wintertime in Chicago I was washing dishes. So basically tough labor there. But great way to grow up, great way to learn the business. And then I played for a while, and then I got back in the business side. So been in Southern California here with JC Resorts for the last 17 years.
Thanks, John. Thanks for being here. Mr. Block, welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Block. I'm the head golf professional at Arroyo Trabuco Golf Club. I've been there for 13 years. I was at the Lakes Country Club in Palm Desert for 6 years prior to that, and headed out here to Orange County and absolutely love it. Don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Seems like I'm always asked, so how'd you get that job? How is it that you get to play as much golf as you do? Really, that's what I try to. The biggest thing now is I seem to have been getting a lot older lately. Ever since I turned 40, I'm asked to be on panels and mentoring things. I'm like, dude, I still need to be mentored, I think. But plain and simply, I'm in a business I love. I love going to work. I love going to play. I love to teach. My favorite thing in the world now is to go and play golf with my boys. And so life's really good right now, and hopefully I can help anyone in any way possible, and that's why I'm here today.
And we're glad you're here. Thank you very much. And finally, Mr. Sean Cox, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Todd. I actually started playing golf when I was about 6 years old because my mom was actually a college golfer and my grandpa brought me out to play. So I had golf basically ever since I was a kid as part of my family. It was what we did on every vacation. But I wasn't a high school kind of golfer. I was just a kid that loved the game, and I caddied at a course up in Seattle called Sahalee. And I always loved the game, but I was fortunate to get to play a couple sports in college. I played football and baseball at the University of Washington and learned a lot about work ethic from coaches and the other players. A lot of them went on to have successful professional careers and stuff like that. But when I got out of college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I came down to San Diego with a couple friends, and the first day I was in San Diego, I got lucky and they needed somebody outside services at Torrey Pines, and I got the job on the spot, and I started there and worked about 6 months outside services, and then I got into the golf shop at Torrey Pines, and one of my bosses, Rob Hessler, is back there. But that was a great mentoring facility. There was a lot of action back in the mid-90s, and still a lot of action there. And then I was fortunate to meet a woman at Torrey Pines who was the first assistant at La Jolla Country Club, and she called me up, and Pete Coe hired me about 3 days later to be an assistant pro at La Jolla Country Club, and I stayed there for about 9.5 years. And I was recruited to go over to a place called the Grand Golf Club to be the director of golf, because one of our members at La Jolla was Mr. Doug Manchester, and he hired me to be the director of golf at the Grand. And I've been very fortunate at the Grand to have a lot of flexibility with my schedule, and I've served on the San Diego board for about 10 years, and the funnest job I had was the education chairman for San Diego PGA, putting on seminars and trying to encourage people through education and bring people together.
That's fantastic, Sean. Thanks for being here. So, Sean, since you've got the mic, and you think about your first mentor, who is that first person that really made an impact for you, particularly when it came to getting into golf? Successful defensive back, as I recall, right, for the Huskies, and then you make that transition into golf. Who was that first person that really kind of helped move you in that direction?
Well, you'd have to go back to family members like dads for best mentoring, but if we get specific to golf, I remember an experience when I was just getting into the teaching side of the business, and I was with a guy named Mike Owen, who was a very successful teacher, and he encouraged me, if you want to be a teacher, you need to go out and take lessons. And that advice to me, I thought was, a lot of people won't invest in their own game, but we can learn more by taking lessons from others to help us in our career for teaching. I've done a lot of teaching over the years, and I remember Mike Owen saying that to me, and it's always stuck with me, so I've always tried to get as many opinions on my own game, and sometimes you use it and sometimes you don't, but it just to see other methods and people and how they teach.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Mr. Block, I think everybody admires your golf game and admires the facility that you're at, and I know you put a lot of effort into that. Who was that first mentor for you that really kind of said, hey, you could also play and you could also run a successful operation and really be such a well-rounded golf professional?
I actually grew up playing golf in an interesting spot, which you might not even believe it exists, but it's actually an island in between Iowa and Illinois, the Rock Island Arsenal Golf Club. It's an island in the Mississippi River, believe it or not. Hank Stukart was the PGA head golf professional there. He was one of the best players in the Iowa Gateway section, I believe it was, and he also ran one of the most beautiful golf courses I've ever been to and where I grew up at. But Hank really instilled in me the fact that he was a great instructor, he ran a great club, great merchandiser. I remember his wife worked with him here and there in the shop, and then also he was out there teaching all the time, and he just did it all, and that was something that I saw, and that's something that I always wanted to do. I don't want to just be a teacher. I don't want to just play. Well, but not really. It's so tough. You know how small the hole looks if you only play golf? The hole gets smaller. If you have a job, the hole gets bigger. It's true. But so that's been a big thing for me, is really learning from Hank and being an overall PGA professional, which is what I hope I've done and can do a better job over the next 20 years.
Thank you. Do you guys notice that when he said those that don't play golf, the whole he was looking at me. He was saying it's this big, so hopefully it is today. Mr. John McNair, Chief Bottle Washer and Cart Guy at JC Resorts. You've had a big job over the last several years, really kind of growing the JC Resorts portfolio and have a lot of impact on hiring golf professionals. Like I said, I know you talked a lot about your dad and his influence on you. Any other mentors out there particularly that said, John, because I know you played quite a bit too coming up and found an opportunity to get into business, the business side of it. So do you have any of those mentors that you recall?
Well, starting out, same with Michael, my father was the consummate golf professional, teaching, playing, merchandising, A to Z. But then from a business side, my first head pro job was a golf course in Florida called Black Bear. And I went to work for an owner who retired from Wall Street at 33 and said he was going to buy this golf course. So needless to say, it was very high energy and he had high expectations. And so I learned from him the business side and the financial side. I really didn't have a great background. I had a decent background, but not a great background on what it took to financially look at a golf course and analyze every little facet of it to make that property better. And so I owe a lot of that to him from the business side of things. I can tell you, wouldn't be where I am without that. Learning that how can you make your facility better in every little angle? It's food and beverage, merchandise, analyzing labor, all those kind of things that it took to make it better and better. So he was a great mentor. The toughest boss I ever worked for, the course had been open for a month, and I was the second head golf professional. He'd already fired his superintendent, head pro, first assistant, and first assistant superintendent. So it was either you got on board or you were gone very quickly. So I was just proud to survive that for 2 years before I went to another position. So that was great.
Thanks. Most of you know that Susan is a very successful businesswoman. She said, obviously being an owner of a facility and having a lot of impact, but also as a player, just recently inducted into the Nebraska Golf Hall of Fame, or the Athletic Hall of Fame at the University of Nebraska. So if there's any Cornhuskers out there, you go Red. And congratulations on your great achievement. You mentioned a couple of those people along the way, but who stands out to you the most, and what did they do to really impact you and to help you to become the professional you are today?
Well, the one person that I haven't even talked about yet, and I did so on purpose because she meant so much to me. And after I got out of college, the advice I got from several people was, you need to go join the PGA. That's all they kept telling me, you got to go join the PGA. So that's what I did. I moved to Denver and I joined the PGA, and I got an assistant professional job at Rolling Hills Country Club outside of Denver in Golden, Colorado. And there I met Pat Lang, LPGA Master Professional. And Pat, her business was custom fitted golf clubs for women. A pioneer by a long shot. This is the early 90s, and there was only Henry Griffiths and a couple others even talking about club fitting at that time. And so she brought me in, she trained me how to fit, and I absolutely fell in love with golf equipment and the fitting process and how much I could help people when I added that piece of the equipment to my teaching. And once I knew that, I couldn't go back. I had to continue to figure this out and look at equipment and understand it more and more. And she took me under her wing. I ended up working for her as her vice president for several years, and I really owe getting out here in my career to all that she taught me.
It sure seems, in terms of Susan, what all this stuff that you're doing, managing your time seems to be the hardest thing for all of us to do. We've got a lot of different responsibilities. We're just talking about at the table. We have a lot of different things we get pulled in to be asked to be a part of. Maybe not necessarily a part of our regular day-to-day responsibilities, but you often have those extra requests. How do you go about really kind of balancing your time and your responsibilities to, especially with all the different organizations and companies you're a part of?
About 10 years ago, I went virtual. That's how I did it. I went to my cell phone, and as soon as the iPad came out, that really helped. So really what I've managed to do in our organization, I think when Monica sitting here can attest, that I'm always available 24/7, every day of the week, to anyone, actually. I don't, that's maybe my fault, I don't set limits, but it's also, people are very respectful to those, and so I think by being open to that, it's also helped me to manage my time, to move around to all my different companies and to different locations that we have. And I think it's helped me to be very responsive as well as organized. So that's pretty much how I've done it. But technology has been the key to that.
Very good. Michael, playing, teaching, running the facility, how are you balancing all your time?
Plain and simply, I've got to pick my poison. Between a family, a golf club, teaching, and playing, as well. It's amazing how you have to determine, such as today, I'm going to come here and then I need to go back because I'm going to be gone on Saturday and Sunday or whatever it might be. You really have to decide what you can do and what you can't do. Obviously, I don't have any days off. My wife is so frustrated with me that I haven't taken an actual vacation in 15 years. A vacation for me is I'm playing the state open last week. She doesn't get to enjoy that, so it's a little different.
Tied 6, tied 7, tied...
I 3-putted the last hole for 8. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Thanks. I appreciate it. But plain and simply, I wouldn't trade it for the world. One of the biggest things I recommend is if a job is holding you back from being able to do what you want to do, being able to play if you want to play, being able to hang out with your family if that's what you want to do, find something. Always be looking for something else that is going to fit your pattern that makes you happy. Plain and simply, every single person in here, something different makes every single person here happy. For me personally, I never do actually just want to sit on the couch and watch TV. I want to be teaching, or I want to be at the club, or I want to be playing. Me sitting on a beach having a Mai Tai is fun for about 20 minutes for me. I'm going to be hitting balls on the driving range, the nearest one I can find. So everyone's a little different, but the biggest thing I can tell you is find the position or the job that is going to plain and simply make you the happiest person possible. Money is not always the cure to that. I really believe if you find something that you really enjoy, in the long run, you will end up being very happy, not only in your wallet, but personally in life as well. So that's a huge recommendation for me.
Thank you. Sean, how about you? You've got lots of different responsibilities down there at the Grand. What is the key to managing your time and your effectiveness?
So I use a combination for managing what I do. One, I'd say my Outlook, I use a lot to manage. I manage things in folders depending on what they are, what topics they are, and that helps me when I need to find stuff, because a lot of times if you had a great idea or you had a great event and then all of a sudden you put it somewhere in a file and you can't find it, and then you don't repeat it or you don't remember it or you can't access it, it doesn't help you do your job as best you can. So I use Outlook, and then I just go to a basic list on my desk every day that I cross things off. I mean, I read recently that the brain gets a stimulus from seeing you cross things off. I read an article about it and I said, I'm going to start doing that. And it feels better when you get through your whole list every day. So there's obviously many years of experience of prioritizing what you need to get done. I would have to say probably the most important thing is having a staff that you can count on, that when somebody like William is doing merchandising, he's doing an incredible job, and when Chris is running junior golf, you know things are taken care of, and then you can work on things that hopefully brings more business to everybody in the group.
Finally, John, for you, all those different properties with JC, I think 12, 13 properties,
Yeah.
and growing.
Absolutely, and I want to say something about Susan on technology. Reach out to Mr. Tom Addis, who's still got his book, and we're still working on Tom. I tried for my 6 years in office, didn't get it done, but I'm hoping you can get that done, Tom.
Fingers crossed.
So it is Outlook and keeping track of the folders and those things. That's very, very important. I think the other thing I've learned is the more meetings you can have as a group. For example, at our courses, we have a strategy meeting every single month with all the head pros, directors of golf, managers of facilities, where we all get together and we spend part of time on financial ops and then brainstorming session for the most part, and sales and marketing. So we go through that so we get together. What we've learned from that too, the more professionals get together, one idea, you can take an okay idea and spin off some other ideas off of that and make it into a great idea. So I think the more you can get face-to-face meetings regular, I've been with, like I said, JC for 17 years, and I can tell you, every single month for 17 years, we've had a meeting with that group get together, we've never missed it. So I think that's really cool, great. The more you can get together that way, the better. The other one thing I do personally is, the old checkoff list, as Sean was saying, I go, because I'm in the car a lot, I spend a lot of time driving to properties, even drive my commute to the office. I send myself a call list, an email with the phone numbers in the call. So if I've got about a 40-minute commute each way, I'm making a call list off that every single day. And so phone numbers that I might not have readily available, you put in there, well, if you just touch it, it dials it automatically. So that saves me, you gain that hour and a half in the car every day, making all your phone calls. You get to the office, you don't have to go make the first 30, 40 minutes of phone calls. So that's helped me out a lot, as well as have that call list, and at the bottom of that, then I put maybe the 3 or 4 or 5 things that I really got to accomplish that day, and the rest is on the wish list if you can get to it. So that's really, really helped me a lot to be efficient with my time, particularly the time that I have in the car.
Think back, John, I'll let you keep the mic there for a second. When you think back to getting a key piece of advice, is there anything in particular that you use every day as a key piece that you got from your mentor, or you got from someone that really strongly influenced you?
From the time management standpoint you're talking about?
Yeah.
One thing I got actually from my first year at JC Resorts, there was a gentleman that used to be a retired military. He was at Temecula Creek Inn. And he said, one of his very successful generals that was in the military with him, he said, I try to get at least 5 things done every day. And I'm thinking, 5 things? That doesn't seem like a lot. But if you take 5 big things, you really think about that, and you put 5, I've got to accomplish these things today, and just stay focused on those all day long, and try not to leave. That's why I'm there late. But try not to leave the course of the property until you finish those things. That can get it done. The other piece of advice I got a long time ago that was good is do the thing you don't want to do first. Procrastination, right? You put off the thing you don't want to do, procrastinates, then it does another day, a day after that. I think even though I focus on it every single day, it still creeps in there. Tackle the things on your list, the ones you really don't want to do first, and that'll free up your time, plus it'll free up your focus on the other things when you have to get to them.
Yeah, that's a good one. A great book, Eat That Frog, if you haven't read that one. That's a really good one to help out with time management. Sean, how about a key piece of advice that you got from a mentor that you use in your regular day-to-day operations there at the Grand? Any real key element that you keep going back to time and time again?
I remember, I worked at La Jolla Country Club, which is a traditional private equity club, and in probably my first 3 to 6 months, I tried to win an argument with a member, and it didn't go so well. And Pete sat me down, who was the head pro there for 30 years, and he kind of explained to me, Sean, we don't need to, you need to not, argue with members. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it stuck with me, and I became a better listener. So when basically, a member had a problem about something, I listened much better after that. I didn't try to, tell them why they were wrong or something like that. And I tried to teach that to, the staff of the Grand, because we, obviously got, members, we have resort guests, and we, on a constant basis, from a resort side, we get rated by raters, as far as people coming to the hotel. Now we actually have a system that monitors basically every comment online. Google, TripAdvisor gets put into a computer program that spits to all the managers. So we monitor every single piece of online feedback on our property. And if anybody says something about golf, positive or negative, it goes to like 60 managers at our property. And so we have to be very careful from a service perspective, be on our toes at all times. And, that breeds, a lot of, excellence out of our team. And I think it's good. Golf has it a lot easier than the restaurants and the hotel. There's a lot more things that can go wrong. So we get a lot of positive feedback, and then when we do get some construction feedback, we act on it immediately.
Very good. Susan, how about that key piece of advice that you still use today?
Well, I'll go back to Pat Lang, and I remember early on in my golf career, I wasn't having as much fun as I should have been. I was way too serious, and it was getting in my way with the members and everything that I was trying to accomplish. And finally, one day, things just aren't going right, and as Pat, I ran into her and was talking to her. She goes, champions adjust. She goes, you need to adjust. You need to make changes. This is not, we're in the business of fun and golf, and things go wrong in your day, but you need to adjust and make the best of it and take yourself less seriously. This is a life that's supposed to be about fun and choices and making right choices. And so when I started thinking about that and really thinking about Champions Adjust, it's how we play golf, it's how we do many things in life, and I really took that to heart. And in my day now, a lot of things go just as planned, and then a good half dozen don't, and so we work with that and make the best of it every day. And at the end of the day, I go to sleep smiling and thinking about, wow, what a great day it was, and I get to be in the golf business every day. It's awesome.
Very good. Michael, how about for you?
Plain and simply, and really the main reason I'm here is because of my golfing skills. I don't think it's because of my anything else. But the reason I say that is because if you do yourself a little bit of a favor, because I know everyone here loves the game of golf, and I know most of you do not play nearly as much as you wish you could. Plain and simply, I use Outlook as well as Sean, and plain and simply, put down on there every single day, not only your lessons and your meetings and all that other stuff, put down a time for yourself on the Outlook calendar, and it says practice, and it comes down to practicing 30-yard shots. Literally grab your wedge, go out there for 15 minutes, and work on it. It's amazing if you just do that. Not only how much happier you are, you're going to be a better boss, a better person, better dad, a better husband. People are going to like to work for you a little bit more, and then you actually become a better golfer as well. But put it on the calendar. If you just keep on telling yourself I'm going to find some time today, I'm going to find some time, you're not going to find that time, plain and simply. So put it on your calendar, make it happen, commit to it. I promise you'll become better in a lot of ways other than just your golf game.
Well, in addition to your great golf game, I think you're probably a really good communicator, and that's why you're here. But you take a look at your communication skills with your team and those with your students and that sort of stuff. Do you find yourself modifying your style of communication based off the person, or do you treat everybody kind of the same way?
I treat everyone 100% the same way. I have a couple people in here that have been around me at the club, and plain and simply, I try to put myself in the scenario of being that person, whether it's in the picker, which I used to be in the picker back at a club when I was in high school. I know how it is when you get hit in the picker. It's like a shotgun going off in your ear, and it really upsets me when people are trying to hit the guy in the picker. I'm like, that's Manuel, do not hit him. And he's like the sweetest guy in the world. I'm like, but plain and simply, my communication skills are, I always am available. I try to talk to everybody as much as possible. Everyone knows that my office door is always open. Everyone knows that I love to get out with them and to have lunch, to have meetings, to sit down at any time to discuss what's going on in their life or their future in the game and what we can do at the club to make their time at Arroyo that much better and make sure that they're doing something that is moving towards their passion, because I know if someone has passion for it, they're going to do a great job, and I try to only hire people who want to have something to do in the game of golf, and they're not just stopping by to make a couple bucks and then trying to get another business next month. So it's worked out nicely, and the staff I've had, including Jackie, and I don't know who else is in here, but I'm just happy to see Jackie being very successful and everyone else moving up in the world and becoming head pros or reps or whatever they might want to be. But it's been a lot of fun, and look forward to seeing everyone keep growing up.
Yeah, thank you for that. John, how about for you? A lot of different individuals to communicate with. I mean, what's your style like?
I think treating everyone the same, and I look at our team members here as well, but I think the approach with everyone is actually a little different depending on who they are. It's their personality. Also depends if they're having a conversation about patting them on the back or a discussion of something that's not going right as well. So I think that determines it as well. But I think every person's a little bit different. I think Micah said that too, but I believe you got to approach everybody a little bit different, what their needs are, who knows what's going on in their life at the time, family needs or work-life balance, who knows what's going on with that individual. But I like to approach everybody a little bit different, how you handle them, and getting to know the person. That's something too, as we've gotten bigger and bigger, I don't get to know everybody as well as I used to in the beginning. It's a bummer, actually. But anyway, I think the key is sitting down, having a direct, honest conversation where things are going. I've learned that's always the best, direct feedback. And I think that's where you can have the most learning and progression, not only for the property, but also for their career as they move forward.
Sean, how about for you? I know that a lot of different responsibilities there at the Grand, and you're very active. So you've got lots of different types of structure, right? You've got a hotel, you've got golf, you've got resort guests and members and your own people. How are you going about communicating with those folks? Does that style change, or is it kind of change with the different clientele that you have?
I would say it depends on who we're communicating with. I would like to treat everybody the same, but certain people show a little bit more desire to move on with the industry, and sometimes you fall trapped to helping those people a little bit more, and then some people aren't quite as interested, and sometimes I probably make the mistake of not spending enough time with those people. I like people that I'm going to ask questions type of person when it comes to mentoring or stuff like that. I'll ask questions, to people I meet in the industry and try to learn from them. And I think I fall trapped for people that ask me a lot of questions. I give them a little bit more attention than others, so I could do a better job at that. But I spend a lot of time with our members trying to make sure that they're, feel, it's a tough balance between having a resort and having a private membership. You want your members to feel like it's their club, it's their private club. So I spend a lot of time with them, and I probably learn more from them than they learn from me, because most of them are successful business people, and I've been on a lot of great trips. I was kind of waiting for this time, but I've gotten to know one guy really well, and I've known him for about 20 years now, and recently his secretary said to me when I was over at his office dropping something off that this gentleman reads 12 newspapers per day. This guy's a self-made billionaire that's about 52 years old. And so the quest to keep learning, and that's kind of how I am. I'm always reading on my iPad at night and trying to learn and do all kinds of stuff from an industry perspective. I found an app called Day One. I actually have 2 different folders that I keep stuff in. One's for golf management. I have every article I read, I store it in a journal under golf management, and then I have one for teaching. And I store in this app that I found on the Apple Store all the stuff I learned. But I think we just got to keep pushing ourselves to keep learning. And like I said earlier, I seem to, sometimes fall for spending too much time with the guys that are similar to me, and I should probably spend more time with the ones that need a little bit more of encouragement to get them going.
Yeah. You brought up app, and in terms of resources, I think that's part of one of the outcomes we really do hope out of these influencer series is that there becomes a little bit of a reference guide of great resources. And Susan, if you've gone virtual and Sean's using Day One, are you using any sort of apps or any sort of resources like that online that are helping you to be a better communicator or at least be better organized in your day-to-day world?
Well, for me, it's about the ability to text, to call, to email, and every possible way you can reach somebody face to face. texting for me is I will get back to you within a couple hours. If you phone call me, I'll get back to you within 24 hours. And if you email me, I'll get back to you within 48 hours. Those are my rules I've set up for myself. I just really respect other people's time, and if you have a question and you need something, then I will do my best to get back to you on those. So I've kind of hierarchied the order of things and then prioritized the urgency of things, and I've had to do it just literally through, mostly with my phone and the emails. I will say I am, and nothing against anybody who emails a lot, I find more problems start with the tone of an email than pretty much anything else in the organization. If we can do anything better, I think it's to watch our tone in emails. It's good for getting out the same amount of information to a lot of people, but I think if there's anything sensitive or anything that needs to be done important, I think it's better to pick up the phone and call somebody. That's my one area. I'll just tell people to just stop with the emails. Just stop. Don't send them. Especially when you're, take a minute, breathe, step back, think about it. Maybe wait overnight before you click the send button, because I find that's really the area where we can really hurt people the most.
Yeah, as much as it can help, it can hurt, right? The email's getting it out. Social media. Do you use social media at all, Susan? And do you find that that's become a good, effective way for you to kind of at least get a broad message out?
We do that in our marketing efforts. Personally, social media, I have to say I've had to back off. I just don't have the time in my day to follow it like I would. Probably like you guys, we get engrossed in what we need to learn and what we need to understand every day in our business. And that's kind of my nighttime to go back through everything and all the reports. So I don't have a lot of time to spend on that. But I do find it critical when we have great things that happen either at our facility or with our people, that it's a great way to get that out. So we do use it quite a bit.
John, how about JC Resorts? I know you're very active in terms of out to the membership or to the various clients, but even for your team and that sort of stuff, anything with social media that you've seen to be effective?
Internal, we really have not. From social media marketing, it's our whole focus is where we're moving a lot of our energy and money towards social media. We've been doing that for quite a while now, for probably almost just shy of a decade. But so we focus on that. Talked about email, and Susan. I think we're missing, especially we're in the people business, is picking that phone up and talking to somebody, especially when you're the tone of it, or if you're saying something that might offend the person. Pick up the phone and call them. I feel you can have more direct conversation. You can get the point a little more direct on that as well. And even at Rancham, our in-property, for a while, it was getting so bad with email and what were we doing to make a point. We didn't allow anyone on Thursday afternoons from 1 to 4 o'clock to send an internal email. So if you did it, you had to either walk over, because it's a big resort, little properties, and you could actually walk to the person's office, or you had to pick up the phone and call them, because we were having issues with the emails, the tones of them. So to change it, we just said no internals during that period of time. And it worked out really, really well. People appreciate it. We still do it every once in a while, just on a monthly basis. Just if you remember that we are in the people business, and you got to get out and talk to people, not just, phone, basically non-personal, type it in.
And I know the next panel that you're going to be taking on will do a lot more sales and marketing. I'd be looking forward to that. Sean, how about for you, social media, the brand, or with yourself? How is that working in terms of your ability to communicate what's going on at the club or with your team?
So I run a weekly email that goes out to every member. I write it once a week. We include some of the stuff that goes on at the resort as well. So that's probably our biggest communication from a membership. I run an Instagram page for the club. We post about one post a week, something to do. It could be more. But, we're in the headquarters of golf down in San Diego, so I've actually had the opportunity to probably 20 commercials over the last 10 years have been filmed at our place, and I've had the opportunity to get to know some of the film crews. So I've been on Golf Life, the TV show, a couple times doing golf tips and stuff like that. So I've been around a lot of the social media and watched commercials be done and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a learning experience to see and meet some of these people that do it full time for their job. And then I also communicate once a month. We have a meeting with the resort where we have a marketing meeting and talk about initiatives. In about 2 weeks, we have golf press writers coming in for 2 days to stay in the hotel, and then we'll take them up to not only to play at our facility but at Torrey Pines. So we do that about twice a year. So it's just a combo. I really like being in San Diego for the fact that we get to kind of see what's going on with Callaway and TaylorMade and some of these companies. And sometimes it's kind of interesting to be on a tee box at 4 in the morning waiting for Phil Mickelson to show up at 6 a.m. to shoot a commercial that in 1 hour, because he's got to go play golf in the bridges at a member guest or something like that. It's interesting sometimes these experiences you get.
Mr. Block, how about for you?
The club uses social media. We have an outside agency that does it for us. It's really helped a lot boost our social functions, not so much the golf, but more of our mixology nights and our concert series in the summer. It's been a great venue for that, or outlet for it. Personally, at Blocky Golf, follow me. Just kidding. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for me. It's amazing how that really keeps you in contact with all your fellow PGA professionals and friends. To see them outside of the golf course. No one else, I don't think any of you have ever seen me without a hat on before. Like, who the hell is that guy? He's a lot older than he looks when he has a hat on. But plain and simply, I think it's a great way. It's a lot of fun. I think it's just growing. It's going to become huge. I think it's pretty much going to be the only or very few outlets out there in the very near future as far as marketing is concerned. That's really going to be a huge help for all of us in our business and promote ourselves and our club.
Well, keep you going here. So, you mentioned Jack. Do you seek out mentoring opportunities then at the club and around in your day-to-day life? I mean, are you looking to be a mentor?
Accidentally, I love it, and it's really cool because I've been lucky enough to play on some teams, the North-South Cup teams, the Cal Cup teams, whatever they are, the PGA Cup. That's really how you build all these relationships, and it's kind of cool because, there's a lot of you that I see out in tournaments, a lot of them are 10, 15, 20 years younger than I am who are my buddies, and then of course I've got old guys like Scott Mallory that, we wouldn't be friends, but just kidding, Scotty. He's like 50. You're like 60 years old. You still hit it further than me. I'm kidding. I love you. You're a good-looking man. But plain and simply, yeah, it's been great. And it's been a fun transition for me now as I am growing older and shorter off the tee. People are actually seeking me to ask me questions. I was lucky enough to win an individual match for match play yesterday morning, and afterwards he was like happy about it and wanted to ask me all types of questions on how he can become a better golfer and get another job. And I'm just like, okay. They used to cry and go away. Now they're actually asking me questions about what I think of their golf game, which is honest. It's an honor for me, and I really hope that over the next quite a few years I can help as many people as possible. And I think it's a lot of fun for anyone. If I ever hear anyone that say that Michael is a mentor to me, is going to really give me chills. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. John, same question to you. How do you even identify somebody that you think may even need some mentoring? Sometimes we don't always need it, or we don't always know we need it. But what are any particular skills that you use, or any very active in terms of finding mentoring opportunities?
Yes, as I mentioned, we have our monthly meetings. We also sometimes bring in an assistant golf professional in those meetings so they get exposed to that and learn that side of the business. We also have a list of our rising stars that we're keeping track about the company, and we evaluate that all the time. Look at Evan Biondo, who's here right now, is just one example of that. He started out at Oaks North when he was about 17-year-old. Now he's running our well course. And I know when Brandon Delgado started out early on with us, and now Mr. Loman Stolman brought him over here to Monarch Beach in the last year, but I won't hold against Derek for that. But so we keep an eye on the rising stars as they're going through our organization. I think the other thing we really try to focus on is we just try to make them smarter and better. So we have education programs all the time. For example, last week we just had brought an outside speaker in to talk to as many assistant pros that could go to it to learn about customer service. We got another one coming up on sales and marketing next week. We offered everyone out via email to come to this event. So we believe in the best we can do by them is educating them to become smarter and smarter. We also host in-house seminars because we're also involved with hotels. We'll bring the accounting team in to talk, the sales and marketing team, HR. All those things are so important to make them a well-rounded golf professional in today's world. So we did that religiously for a while, and then I think the thing is to make sure you do it consistently. To be honest, we didn't do that for a while. During the recession, we didn't do a really great job of that, but we're getting back into that now. So I think the key is also you do it over time and consistently, and that's where we probably could have done a little better, but we're back on track now.
Yeah, very good. Susan, how about for you?
Well, for me, the mentor idea is simple. Trusted advisor would be the word I would use for a mentor. And that can be in so many different people for so many reasons. Younger than me, older than me, completely different from me. And I look to people for their differences because I want to surround myself with people who have different ideas, come at things differently, enjoy different things. And so I seek out mentorship from many different sources, and there's probably 15 people in this room today actually that on one occasion or another I've reached out to, and that big word for me is trust. And my PGA friends and fellow professionals are some of my most trusted friends and advisors, and so therefore why I'm sitting here today is because of that. And I feel it's so important that we know each other so that we can make those phone calls, because that's how I've gotten to the point I have, and every day I still do that, including my management team that I rely on heavily.
Sean, you mentioned a lot of other folks on your team that are having good success. Did you actively pursue them in terms of mentoring them, or has that just been a natural occurrence through their curiosity and their desire to learn more about the business?
So I think teaching is a big part of growing the game of golf. I think I'm on a lot of chat groups and Facebook and stuff like that. There's debates about, what does a teaching program do for an owner of a golf facility and stuff like that. And I listen to these things, but the clubs that I've been at, I've seen direct. I look as being a golf teacher more than just teaching them technique. You're a motivator. You're motivating that person to come play 3 times a week instead of 1 time a week. You're encouraging them to want to come and practice and play more. And so I try to encourage our staff they learn golf operations and they learn tournament management and that kind of stuff kind of through the senior people at the club. But from a teaching's perspective, I've set up we've had meetings at night where I give them subjects where they have to read about stack and tilt and do a presentation on it, or read on, James Seekman, a short game guru, and do a presentation on it. And I'll assign them subjects that obviously, I'm not telling them that they got to go teach stack and tilt, but if somebody asks you what was that about, this person from now on, from studying it and speaking on it, they could, have that knowledge. But they also get to hear the 5 or 6 other assistant pros give presentations as well. And to me, those sessions have been really good at kind of getting people motivated and wanting to get out and learn more about teaching. And I would tell you that every assistant that I have right now is pretty much chomping at the bit to teach more.
Given you're giving so much to your team and your mentoring relationships, those that are mentoring you, how do you find time to kind of recharge, or at least we work a lot, we're participating a lot. What do you do to kind of reset for yourself to be more effective, for your family or for your club? What are the things that you do, Sean, to make it better?
I would probably put back at what Michael said. I don't put it on my calendar each day, but I try to get out and hit balls for at least 20 minutes every day. If I know I have a lesson coming up at 10 and I've been in since 7 or 7:30 and I've been doing emails for 2 or 3 hours or working on stuff for the business side of things, I'll try to get up there a half hour early and hit a few balls before. And I think that's my biggest release, is just kind of hitting some balls once a day.
For the man who never takes vacation and finds the little 15 minutes, are you going to share your little secret then, in terms of what do you say, 60% of your time would be short game and your little 15-minute sessions? How often will you go out there for 15 minutes? Is that every day? Is that a couple times a day?
I don't know. It's once a day. At the most. Yeah, I don't practice a lot, but just to get out there, like Sean said, it's amazing how that does re-energize you. But my way of actually doing it is to take a walk at the facility. to me, that is by far and away that really gets me going, because I get to take a walk, I get to say hi to all the employees, I get to see the positives and I get to see the negatives. I always catch one person doing something they shouldn't, and I also catch somebody that's doing a great job that I get to motivate, or that actually motivates me to do a better job myself because they're killing it. So I get to see one that I get to yell at, and I get to see one that I get to give an award to. So for me to go walk the facility, and that includes through the kitchen, through the banquet facility, go to the back of the driving range, side of Bobby Laskin back there, and you know, that to me, it gives me the chills even thinking that I have that right there in the backyard of my office. So that's what really gets me going every day. If you get stuck in the office with emails and phone calls, and it's kind of funny, I'm the exact opposite of Susan. Sorry. But if you call me, you'll probably never ever hear from me. If you email me, I'll get back to you probably the same day, and if you text me, I'll get back to you within about 3 seconds. So that's how you get hold of me. Don't call me.
Susan, how do you recharge your batteries? You give a lot, and you're working on these different activities. What do you do to kind of reset that for yourself?
Variety. I just love doing all the different things. I don't find any one thing like, I've never been one to do one thing all day, and I guess if I had to do that, I probably wouldn't be in this business. And I think that's wearing all these hats in this business was what got me excited about it in the first place, and still to this day, just being able to be so many different things in a day is so much fun.
Yeah. And John, how about for you?
You were saying re-energize. So when you're looking at things from an annual basis, what I remember back in 20 years ago, I used to write a strategic plan for the courses, and it'd be 20 pages thick. But what I've learned over time is if you can keep your goals for the year, your primary goals, on one page, just one piece of paper, by whether it's a course, whatever you're looking to do, or if you're trying to improve your operation, and look at that every day and have it somewhere that's a focal point, maybe just to left or right of your monitor, it works. Because what we do sometimes is we go through the year and we're in the trenches and we're fighting and doing everything we need to do every day. I've learned that you've got to sometimes just stop, take a look. Am I really achieving what's really important for my property for that year? And so that's what we do, is we write every year. Instead of 20 pages, one page right there next to the monitor, and figure out a way to accomplish that goal every single day, and look at that to make sure you're focused on the big picture, not just in the minutia.
We got about 30 more minutes. Is there any questions that anybody wants to ask real quick before we continue on with any questions of the panel? Everybody's good so far? So John, if you could define success then as a mentor, or you can define success as your role as a professional, how would you go about defining that?
I would first say that you've got to, in today's world, I've seen such a shift over the last 30 years in golf professionals, is number one, keep an eye out for golf professionals that want to be mentored and focus on those. And the ones that are on the cusp, on the fringes, reach out to them. And that's probably an area that we could do, I'll just say I could do better, is making sure when you see an assistant that's kind of stumbling along, spend time with them. Sit down, go to lunch with them, have a cup of coffee with them, whatever it happens to be, and sit down and have a direct conversation. And what do you want to do when you grow up, essentially? Where do you want to be? And have those conversations. I think that's so important. And the ones that are going and gung-ho, in my opinion, you want to educate them as much as humanly possible and make them smarter, because the golf business is changing. We talked about technology. We had this seminar 10 years ago. Social media would have never been brought up, right? So today it's a big part of the way we communicate, as well as, even more importantly, in the golf is how we're marketing. And if we have this seminar 10 years from now, it's probably going to be one of the ways, if not the way. So really giving everybody an opportunity to be as smart as they can and educate them the best humanly possible. And then the last thing is making sure you have that two-way communication, as we talked about. Pick up the phone, not just emailing them. I'm a big believer in regularly scheduled, as I mentioned, monthly meetings, making sure you host those and host them religiously. No matter what you do, have those meetings so you can communicate. And it's so much more efficient if you're, for example, your club, whether you're meeting with your outside service staff, assistant pros, entire department heads, it's so much more efficient when everyone's together to be able to communicate that and tie it in and spend the time as the leader putting a formal agenda together, so it's not just tanging all over the place so people can get there again, get more comfortable with the facility, more comfortable with you, and get a little smarter.
Yeah, very good. Susan, how would you go about defining success, and not only as a professional, but also being an effective mentor?
Well, one of the biggest things, and I think we have quite an eclectic group with our team at our companies, and when I think about what makes each of them successful, it's allowing them to be who they are, not making them into something they're not, and putting them into roles that they thrive, that they want to be doing. We've had a lot of different golf professionals come to us wanting to do one thing and realizing, hey, I'm not good at that, I don't even like that, I want to be doing this, and saying, okay, let's do that instead. And being willing to change and evolve with them as they grow. I find a lot of times we're too rigid and we don't allow each other to change and grow. And for me to see that in my team and watch that growth is success for me.
Sean, how about for you?
Well, obviously, I think any director of golf, head professional, the goal is to see some of your assistant pros go on to be head professionals somewhere, else. And, that's happened a couple times, at our property where guys have moved either, off property to other positions. But the success to me is just seeing, the apprentice that you get them through the whole PGA process, because our success rate of people that get in the business, is so poor. How many we lose by the time they don't get through level one. And so to me, that's a big goal. And I try to encourage that through, obviously trying to mentor them, but also trying to put that you can't get to this responsibility until you complete this. And I try to emphasize the PGA program as much as possible with the guys that are working at the club. And I think a lot of them are kind of all at the same level, so they help each other. And I think that comes from a culture of, it's not really a competition. We're all trying to kind of go towards the same goal. We're trying to become Class A's and then someday move on to, head professional jobs. We're in an interesting business that we never know when positions are going to become available. And they might be in another town or another city. You work for a bigger company like JC Golf, and you can move up within an organization. But if you work at a standalone facility, so it's hard to keep those people. Seeing that there's going to be something that comes. We just don't know when it is, but I want you to be prepared.
Defining being a mentor and being successful at it wasn't something that me personally I ever even thought about trying to do. It was something that basically you back into by being good at something. Plain and simply. If you work hard, you're successful at what you do, you're going to start getting phone calls, questions, emails, texts asking you what you would do, your point of view on something. And when I look back at it, I guess I've been more of a mentor than I ever thought I was, which is kind of cool. All of the emails that I do get and phone calls regarding people's golf games or running the business or being able to play more golf. Like I said, that's probably the biggest question I get from a lot of people in here is, how do you have Friday and Saturday off? Can you guys believe that? I've had Friday and Saturday off for 13 years. I know, right? I'm a mentor. You should ask me how I did that. I'm just saying. So, and it's something I've always seen, though. It's not a mistake. Whatever you have is not a mistake. You earned it. You did it. You're there. You've earned that, and everything happens for a reason. That's how I live, and I feel very fortunate, very lucky.
And what was your email? Or what was the Instagram account? What were we following?
At Blocky Golf.
At Blocky Golf. So one of the things that we'll find out later today with some of the other panels, we often have the time. We often talk amongst ourselves within the golf industry, and I think that's part of what this influencer series is also kind of geared to do, is try to kind of introduce other ideas from other markets or other people even outside of our industry. John, you talked a little bit about, I think your owner at JC, but are there people outside the world of golf that you look to kind of give you some inspiration or to give you some roadmap to success?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, we bring in outside speakers. I'm a big believer that if you bring in somebody outside, it's going to be a whole other perspective you'll be able to tie to golf, because they're looking at it a completely different way. The other thing is, because we're in the hotel business as well, what I've learned is, on a sales and marketing standpoint, the hotels are far ahead of golf, to be perfectly honest. The way they approach it, the way they look at it. I see Mr. Lohman nodding his head, who's at the hotel right here. I mean, I've learned a lot from them on how to really focus, particularly on direct sales, whether it's if you're a public course or resort, tournament sales, group sales, the way they handle those groups, stay and play packages and how to market them. They're experts at it. I've also learned then too that you got to, database matters, especially in your local vicinity for your golf course, and really focus on it and make sure it's a clean database and those kind of things. So I've learned from the hotel business and sitting in those meetings and learning from them. And I've learned a lot from outside speakers and garnering something from outside the golf business that you can tie in that you never would have thought of you could apply to golf.
Right. Susan, how about for you? Well-traveled, businesses all over. Any other industries you look to benchmark against, say, this is what successful mentoring looks like, or this is how I can be a better mentor to those that are underneath me?
Well, as far as the marketing goes, I think a lot of it boils back down to how we market our companies and Google. I just want to say, I call it the Google, but in our world anymore, I used to be old school, you looked at advertising rates. I was in advertising and marketing for a few years, and the whole world just changed once we had the SEO, search engine optimization, and Google AdWords, and all these, I call it games that they play, because I feel like every week we are tracking and figuring out the new game that we have to play. And it's actually kind of fun, but it's also a big challenge for us to look at other industries. I'm on there all the time looking at where they're placing ads, how they're doing their business. So I think it now goes across everyone and how you're reaching your customer and getting your message out. And for us now, it's so driven by the internet that that's where I go to look to see who's being successful at getting their message out. So that's where we're at now.
Sean, how about for you? Other influences, those people that are outside of golf that you kind of look to? I'm sure there's some guys that end up playing in the NFL that you played up against as a Husky, or there other industries you kind of look to help yourself become a better professional and potentially a better mentor?
I would say I've met many successful business people being in basically private clubs for the last 20 years, but I'm going to have to refer back to golf though, because we're in San Diego and I've learned a lot from getting to know executives at TaylorMade and Callaway, and I actually learned a lot at the last seminar when Harry Arnett from Callaway spoke and talked about going live on Facebook and stuff like that. And we happened to have a marketing meeting for our group of executives at the Grand a couple days later, and I brought that up, and they actually shot live from our 4th of July party. So I think I had a little bit of an influence on that. But I think Callaway and TaylorMade and all the golf companies, but being right there and just kind of keeping an eye on what direction they go with their advertising. If we can just be half as good, a quarter as good as those guys are at marketing our own facility, I think we'll be successful.
Mr. Block, it's all golf all the time for you.
I was going to say I don't even know anyone in outside of golf.
Yeah.
No, really, I to be honest, I wake up, I play golf, I watch the Golf Channel until about 7 a.m., head into work, and I have dinner with my family, and I think we go to bed watching the Golf Channel. So, honestly, kind of like what Sean was saying, I was at a private equity club for 6 years back in the day, and everyone had 5 homes and all this stuff. But just to sit down and play golf with these gentlemen who are obviously very successful in life, and you learn so much from them. And but one of the I think it's just a key thing is to learn from each and every person you meet, and especially everyone here who is successful in their own right. But if you just take a little tidbit from each person that you meet for the rest of your life, it's just amazing. You take that positive and you instill that into your everyday life. I think it's going to be only a positive item for you.
Do you think there's a difference between being a role model and being a mentor?
Absolutely. A mentor, obviously for me is somebody where I have personal knowledge of the person and I work with them, etc. As far as a role model is concerned, you can be a role model for somebody just by, you might not even know them, but they know of you or see you, and might see your success and want to be like you at some point. So I think there's a big difference between that, and you can definitely be both. But like I said, I think the most successful people aren't the ones that are trying to be those. I think they naturally have that talent, and you know, they become that. But I think I don't like the whole thing of where I want to try to be a role model. I just want to live life how I feel it should be lived, and then hopefully you are a role model from that point. I think that's how you be successful.
Very good. John, how about for you? Is there a difference between being a role model and being a mentor?
Absolutely. I'll give one of our company, for example. He only reads 3 newspapers a day, opposed to Sean's guy that does 12. But he's not a natural. He's not gregarious. He's brilliant. But I've learned so much from him in setting the expectation, what he expects us to accomplish in golf, as well as just what expectation of what he expects with the golf courses. So I've learned a lot from that. But he is not a mentor. And I think I've also learned from, I mentioned the gentleman that was a mentor to me in his own way, even though he was retired Wall Street at 33, brilliant guy, but he did everything wrong, politically correct. He was horrible to the entire team. I mean, he really was. But I learned a lot from him, and I think it goes to show that you can learn a lot from somebody who's doing it wrong as well sometimes. And the key is to take those good things that you're learning away from that and remember them. I just, he had such high expectation, and he demanded us that we knew every in and out of the business, and that just made me better. But there again, as far as a mentor, he was horrible. But he was a great, I learned so much from him, probably more than anybody else in the business. So I think also take that away. Learn as much as you possibly can from the people around you, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, that's a great point. Susan, any difference, role model or mentor?
The thought of being a role model, it actually scares the crap out of me. That is just, well, that's up here. And for all of you parents out there, I'm in awe of anyone who can have a child and raise a child and be a great role model. To me, that is the pedestal so high up there. I probably cuss too much to be a good one, so I hope someday maybe I am, but honestly, I've never. That's just really a daunting thing to be a role model. I think I'd rather be a mentor, but I have such a high regard for a role model.
Sean, finally to you, role model, mentor, what do you think the key differences are there?
Well, I think mentor is somebody gets more involved with you or with somebody. In a role model, you could do that without even really having a personal relationship with somebody. I think there's role models in our industry from a golf facility standpoint. One of my favorite things to do is to go to the nicest facilities and just walk around. I mean, I love seeing William earlier. He's our merchandiser. He went through the golf shop here to kind of check it out. I love going to other facilities and see, all the little details that they have and everything. So it's not just people, it's facilities in our business that we need to look up to and try to learn from.
Well, you all have been very successful, and that's why you're up here on this panel, not just playing, but also in having an impact. And that's one of the things that this influencer series is really kind of designed to do, is really increase your impact and increase your effectiveness and lead. And I'd like to give you maybe just one last little thing to give to everybody here. Maybe your best piece of advice is being in your role as a leader or your role of being a mentor. What's the bit of advice that you'd have everybody kind of take away today? So, John, you want to? That's a tough lead there.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. I think the one piece of advice is to always keep learning and work for somebody that is always wanting you to get better and learn all aspects of the business. I said a few times earlier, but I think it's so important. Our business is changing so fast. Technology is changing, which we'll talk about in the next session as well, but just our business, the way we're marketing, talk about social media, just get with somebody who's going to make you better and smarter, because if you have those skills, you will have better and better jobs, and you will get smarter and smarter, and you'll be successful if that's what you want. And if you're there again, if it's playing and teaching, get with those people and spend time with those people, be around those people, be at a club that's going to want that. I know Michael said about Friday, Saturdays, got that off. Anybody at JC Resorts, don't go to Michael for that advice, because we don't want any part of that. But all kidding aside, have somebody that's going to put the time in for you, but going to make you better every day and going to challenge you. I think it's also key. Something in the golf business, we don't have enough direct conversations about what's going to make you better. I think those direct conversations are the key to success and moving forward to get the job position that you want in the future.
Mr. Block, what's your key takeaway today? What wisdom would you like to impart to the group?
I have very little wisdom to impart, but plain and simply, whatever your weakness is, I always like to grade. Someone always comes to me, asks me their opinion or my opinion on their golf game. I actually go, first thing I always have them do is grade themselves. Every facet of their golf game, grade yourself. F to A being fantastic, F bad, obviously. Grade yourself, and I don't care if you're C's across the board or whatever it might be, but really be honest with yourself, and this is in life, whether it's if you're a teacher, always know where you stand and always improve at your weaknesses. That's what you absolutely have to do. Find your weaknesses, be honest with yourself, and improve the weakness, and overall you'll be more prepared in life and be more successful.
Very, very good advice. Sean, how about for you?
I echo everything John said about learning and constant, trying to strive and then try to bring that culture. But to me, it's just trying to write things down, be organized. If I was somebody that wanted to, learn something, something we haven't mentioned here is YouTube. It's crazy how much information's on YouTube now. You could learn how to take your engine apart on your car and put it back together through YouTube. But I think for apprentices, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of apprentices in the room, but to encourage them and maybe steer them into directions, not just throw them loose to try to learn everything. Maybe give assignments and say, study this, and this. These are, if you learn from this person, and this person, you'll get really good really fast at what you're doing. But I think it's a little overwhelming, the world we live in, with information. And I think that the younger people need guidance on maybe where they need to go with their learning.
Great. Susan?
Well, a little bit it's about how I think as leaders and the ones sitting here that I'm, amazing to listen to you guys on that. From what you've said is for us to keep an eye on the horizon and look forward. We have got to be looking ahead because everybody's trusting us to guide the ship. And every day I get up and try to do a little bit better. And that's all I'm trying to do every day is just trying to be a little bit better, keeping an eye on the horizon, because I know if everybody's going along on this ride with me, I want that ship to be sailing smooth. We're going to make changes. We're going to have to re-navigate. Sometimes we're going to have to make a hard shift right, left. And, as long as I can communicate that, tell them what the horizon looks like, and then we're all going along together, it is a really fun ride, and we're all successful together. But I think it takes all the things we've talked about today to get there with the leaders looking at the horizon to make sure we're guiding the ship in the right direction.
Excellent. Were there any other questions that we wanted to take from the floor? The other Mr. Longman.
So having played football at the University of Washington and having played for the Hall of Fame coach Don James, what are some key takeaways that you gained from playing for him?
So Don James was kind of what I would interpret Lou Holtz was kind of like. They're very old school. They weren't as much about big speeches, but they were about accountability. And we literally wouldn't be 1 minute late to a meeting. If you were disciplined. If you did it twice, you'd be kicked off the team. Didn't matter if you were the quarterback or who you were. So he taught me discipline and hard work. He gave his assistants a lot of responsibility, and they reported to him, and you could tell that he held them accountable. The one thing that most people don't probably understand about high-level football is that they actually filmed practice. We actually watched ourselves practice the next day. There was enough people to organize all the film depending on what position you were. And the reason for that a lot of times is because the other team, the scout team, was running the plays of the team you were going to play that week, and it was done in order to prepare you for whoever you were going to play. But I mean, talk about being accountable, that you were filmed during practice and you had to watch that the next day. There was no shortcuts.
Excellent. Go ahead.
At Lockheed Golf, how important is it for you to build your personal brand online, and where are you focusing most of your time currently?
Did everybody hear the question?
And just throw it around.
Touch the box. Saying how?
Oh, I talk it. Wow. Look at that. She said at Lockheed Golf. How important is it for you for personal branding, and where are you focusing most of your time?
Am I trying to brand myself? Not so much. Up to this point, I'm not trying to make money branding myself or anything like that. I'm a social guy. I love being social, as most of you know. I like being too social sometimes. Right, Eric?
No, not at all.
But plain and simply, to me, it's more of a communication avenue for not only my personal friends. It kind of brings together everything from business to friendships to golf players, the whole realm. And I really believe that a lot of people in this room know me better just because of social media and at Lockheed Golf or my Facebook page or whatever it might be. But I definitely am not doing anything to try to build my brand per se. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone knows me more than just being just a golfer. Good question. Eric,
Where are we going?
catch it?
Chug it out. He's good. That's how it's supposed to be.
He's talking the top. One of the things that I notice sometimes with helping other people, not everybody's willing to raise their hand or speak up or to be a part of the conversation. Do you feel that motivation and passion for your career is ingrained and self-taught, or can you inspire others? You know, how do you help other people become as passionate as you are? Or is it just you are passionate or you are not? You know, is it ingrained in you, or is it or is it taught from someone else? What do you think?
I guess I'll start with the answer. In my opinion, if the ones that are passionate are going to be successful, they're going to go all in, they're going to make it happen, they're going to be successful. I think it's the ones that are kind of on the cusp, and that's where I think the PGA, we've had a big challenge in the last 15 years, where the apprentices haven't been probably mentored or enough time spent with them. A prime example is this room right here. We should have double the number of people, and they should be all apprentices in this room, in addition to everybody here. It's mind-boggling to me that an apprentice could come and meet some of the people here, even just for a future job someday. Everybody sitting out in this room as well, that there's not more of them here. So those are the ones I think we really need to focus on and how we're going to get them engaged. They just need a little push. The other ones that aren't even interested in that part, and I'm more direct than most of this, they're never going to get there. You either get some desire and some of that work ethic to get there. If you don't have that, they probably should do something else, because, and I know that's harsh to say and it's not the typical PGA language, but if you're not going to succeed in this business anyway. And so I'm a big believer we got to grab the ones that are just below the high octane ones to make sure that they stay engaged in what's going to take for them to go to the next level, or what is going to engage them that's going to spur them to greatness. So, and I think to do that, I don't think, you talked about mentors earlier and things like that. My owner doesn't mentor me, but he sets the expectation of what we need to do, and you just got to do it. I think sometimes we aren't direct enough with our team members and saying, you know what, you need to get better at these 3 areas, or it's not going to work. I think we owe it to those staff members to do that. And I think sometimes we're all good guys and gals in this business, and we don't want to ruffle any feathers. I think the more direct you can be, I'm a big believer it's the only way you can change. If you don't have that honest, direct conversation, I think we need to have more honest, direct conversations with those people in the middle, and hopefully they'll get better. And also the ones that are not, to say maybe there's something else you should do.
Susan?
And one of the things that kind of inspired us with the mentorship committee was people go where they're invited, but they stay where they're appreciated. And the reason I think I'm even up here in many cases because of Mr. Addis and several other wonderful people on the board, they kept inviting me to be a part of it. And I think that's kind of where you're going with that question, is how do you get there? How do you start participating? And I hope that we'll continue to invite you to events like this, that you'll come, that you'll want to be a part of the boards and committees, and then someday hopefully be an officer and on up from there. But I think it starts out by being the invitation, and I think all of us in this room as leaders need to keep working on the invitation, especially with women. I will tell you guys, the invitation is huge. We're really, it may not be comfortable for us, but once we're invited, we'll tippy-toe into that in a little bit and then see how it is. And then once we're appreciated and we're having a lot of fun, we just keep coming back.
Any other questions?
To that same topic, I think what I've dealt with a lot in my career is having people that you want to mentor, hiring people that want to be mentored. As part of the process, I kind of interested in some feedback from you guys. Is when you're going through the hiring process, the selection process, the interview process, how are you identifying those people? We all want to have successful people. We all, I think in this room, probably have successful people planted around the country in various upper jobs, whether they're directors of construction or head professionals or so forth. But it's part of that process at the beginning when you get them as either a cart boy or a server in the restaurant, or how do we select those people? What's your strategy in getting somebody that wants to be mentored?
My mentor for a long time at the Grand was a general manager named Tom Voss. He's not there now. He's going to open a brand new hotel in Austin, Texas in about 2 weeks. And he instilled in the management team that we don't hire skills, we hire people. He was very adamant that we can train somebody, and then it has to have that positive, feel, vibe, and wants to help people. I mean, basically we're in the customer service business, and if somebody doesn't want to serve people and do things for others, they're probably not going to be good at this business. So he was very adamant about that. And with a big hotel, you have many options to place them in, and then move them up as they progress, through positions. And at the Grand, we have the fortune of having a pretty big operation, and sometimes we'll even find somebody that we like, but we don't have a position, so we'll make them a 4 caddy for a little while. And then we'll slide them in the side door to be an outside service person to get some hours there as well, so we can kind of skate the system a little bit with people if we find the right person.
I can share at Wilshire, one of the things we spent a lot of time on this last year was really identifying our culture and really working. We're fortunate enough to have many successful members of the club that I sought out to get some advice from because they were having such great success, and it was really kind of putting together the ideology of what we felt the purpose of our team really being. And once we put that on paper, it took I'd say probably 2-3 months for the whole team to kind of weigh in and kind of collect those things. And once we did, and that's the tool we use even when we interview folks from the very beginning. So we try to identify, hey, here's what we believe in, here's why we're here. And if you can talk about your prior experiences and what you think you can bring to this that really help to kind of shape the person coming in from the very beginning. So it's helped. It's not perfect, but at least it's changed the conversation for us to where it's more of a, as John would say, a more direct conversation with people. It isn't just, tell me why you're great and why you should be on our team. It was really a little bit more hard-hitting, and they really had to kind of promote why they would be such a good fit for our team.
One other thing on that too, we learned over time that if you can interview by committee, it's better. 2 or even ideally 3 people. It does 2 things. Number one, you might interview just one-on-one, get full day, they may say, well, hey, I love Chicago, and they talk about Chicago, and I'm thinking, boy, this guy or gal's great. I'm gonna hire them. They like my blue shirt, whatever it happens to be. I'm gonna hire them. But then somebody will say, you know what? They did these 2 or 3 things that they said the wrong answer here. That, I'm worried about their customer service, commitment to excellence over time. So I'm a big believer if you can interview by committee, it's better because you won't get fooled. In addition, when they start, if it's the right people that they're gonna interact with, there's not that learning curve. Plus, they're gonna have more buy-in to their success long term. So I think anytime you can do committee, it works out better, particularly if it's gonna tie to that person. And they're gonna feel better. The employee then is gonna feel more comfortable coming in and know they have a resource. It's ownership on both sides of the street.
And a sidebar, don't you feel like when you do that by committee, you're actually doing you're really kind of infusing that style with your people too. They're learning how to really interview and be better interviewers, and you do get a better view. And there's a few people that are interviewing some person, you get a different perspective, and it really helps to grow the entire team when you do that.
And they're learning your culture, right? They can learn, if they're smart, they're how long you with the company, they're asking those questions to see, is this an organization I want to be part of too, and is the fit going to be right?
And a little group ownership too, if everybody agrees, so that helps. Any other questions? Jackie?
Did you all know that this is where you wanted to end up in your career, or did you ever take a job that you didn't see yourself taking that kind of pushed you to where you are now? Was there something that, like Susan, you mentioned you bought the buying a store was the craziest thing you ever did in your life. Like, what got you to that point to kind of take that leap? And are there any other jobs you've taken that you just never saw yourself taking?
Yeah, when we bought the golf center, the accountant that I was working with just shoved the books back over to me and just said, I hope you know what you're doing. So when that happens to you, and yet you have this dream of always owning your own business, and this is it, and I knew this was it, and I guess you have to believe in yourself and not be afraid to fail. I think everybody has to assess in their life where they're at and what kind of gamble they can take, but it was a place and time where I felt like I had the skills and I thought I could turn it around and make it a great thing. So I think you just believing in yourself and then not being afraid to fail. I've taken, I even had my securities license, I've done financial planning, I've done a lot of things that I've tried, but every time I went and did those kinds of things, I was always pulled right back to golf. As much as I thought, I'm going to go do this for whatever reason, whether it be money motivated, it never works out. I'm always comes right back to, for me and my heart and passion in golf. So I've tried it, I've been there. It doesn't mean you're a failure at it, it just means you want to go a different direction, and that's what I did.
We have time for another question? Mr. Loman?
Yeah, any advice or tactics on how to motivate your apprentices to actually facilitate and finish their PGA accreditation? Because it does appear that we have, on occasion, we've all encountered some really good, assistant professionals that have tended to take a little longer than you would think to finish the program. Like, any ideas to share?
Me personally, I did level 1 3 times. So I might be the right one to ask him. Plain and simply, I didn't see any reason to do it at the beginning. I didn't see anything on the end. Okay, good, I do it. What do I get? What do I get for it? I'm going to spend this money. I'm going to go to Florida 3 times. I'm going to do this testing. And for me personally, when it came down to it, I was at a club that was okay with me not being a Class A. And so, due to that doesn't really help. So, I mean, the fact that we can instill these items where you do need to be a Class A, or you do need to be an apprentice in good standing at all times. If you do get suspended, you're going to lose your privilege to teach. You're going to lose your privilege to play. You might lose something if you go into that category. Vice versa, I like to show my guys, hey, if you get this, you're going to teach. As soon as you're level 2, you can start giving the clinics, and then you start showing them how much money they're going to make giving clinics. You're going to teach for an hour and make what you just made in 8 hours. All of a sudden, the light goes off, and it's like, wow, I can triple my salary just by working 6 more hours a week. And so if you sit down with them and you let them know what they can have, me personally, it was, I spent 35 years in the business, or not 35 years, I was at 35 years old when I got my Class A. And I forget who it was. Someone, might have been someone in this room, but they're like, you are just throwing money right out your center. And so, plain and simply, I knew, and I'd yet to ever play in a regular PGA Tour event and all these great things, and so I knew it. I set a date. I said, I'm going to try to qualify for the Farmers Insurance down at Fairbanks Ranch on a certain date. Here's the date for entry deadline. I need to get my Class A to be sworn in by this amount of time. And I made that a big goal, and I did from level 1 through in 10 months. 10 months, I did all 3 levels. I went from PAT to Class A, got it. John Fiedler made a birdie out of a bunker on 18 in a playoff to beat me. The most amazing shot I've ever seen in my life. But then a month later, I qualified for the Northern Trust. So my dreams came true and reality happened, and the rest is history. So I really think there just needs to be something set for them to strive for. It doesn't always need to be negative. They do need to know there's something on the back end if you don't do it, but on the positive end, this is what's going to happen.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I just have one question. I see 4 or 5 different personalities up there, maybe a little bit different. Some got similar. But the one thing I see in common is most of you network very well throughout your careers. And how important is teaching networking to the young people so they can provide that?
I mean, I think it's huge. I'll give an example. Susan's property range is down the street from a couple of properties, and we're always keeping an eye on what she's doing. She comes with great ideas, and we bounce ideas off of each other all the time on a regular basis. So I think it's really important to get out and, Sean said about looking at other golf courses as well. I think it's important to look at other golf courses, see what they're doing. I'm going to say this for our marketing session coming up, but getting on their email distribution, learning what they're doing, coming up with ideas, but also then sitting down and having a cup of coffee with them. Like, I don't know, about 4 years ago, I never knew Michael Block, but we've had a couple conversations about junior golf and things like that over the years, and now I feel like I could call Michael up at any point in time and ask him anything, and vice versa. So I think it's huge, and coming to events like this, the social side and get to know other folks is just as important as that. For example, Loman has this great idea with this speaker in a box. I'm going to steal that idea.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Right? I mean, that's a brilliant idea. We have tournaments and things like that. I'm just going to borrow good ideas from other golf professionals and other managers of golf properties. So
I would say a big turning point for me in networking, I knew a lot of people before, but not nearly as many as when I decided to get on the board of the San Diego PGA. And then that led to meeting more people from the section. And if you're kind of on the fence about running for the board in your chapter, I can't stress how many things I've learned from other people, being in part of, even being at board meetings amongst the San Diego PGA. That's good experience. I mean, when you get to an interview situation or getting up and speaking in front of the first time I spoke in front of the San Diego PGA, and now I think I've done a better job of being able to get up in front of people and speak. But I would suggest to anybody that's thought about it, and it's not the end of the world if 4 people run and 2 people get elected and you run again the next year. I mean, in half the time, most of the time, somebody drops off the board that year because of whatever reason, and they call you, and the board has the ability to put you onto the board without an election. And so that happened this year in the San Diego PGA, the gentleman that didn't make it. So I would suggest that's the biggest thing if you want to network and learn more is get on your local chapter board.
I would answer the question this way. My first boss was a huge mentor for me, still is in many ways, and you saw him have success in terms of connecting people and what that did not only for he owned the shops for his business or for us as a facility, but I think what you kind of recognize is that everybody's pretty open, and it's really difficult the younger you are to maybe feel so confident. But I was taught early on that a cup of coffee goes a long way. Hey, I'd like to buy a cup of coffee. Initiating that conversation. We've talked about it even in the development of this mentoring committee that Eric is kind of chairing, is that we don't teach networking very well. And that's actually one of the hopes that we have out of this series of influencers, just to help all of you do a better job of it. But buying a cup of coffee or willing to kind of invest, because it really does show some respect to the person you're going to, saying, I want to buy a little bit of your time. And it's amazing to get an hour's worth of knowledge from somebody who's really smart for probably $10 is such a huge investment in your own professional development, your own personal development, and it's amazing when you start doing that, then people automatically start to feel a little sense of support and duty to kind of help see you grow. If they've given you some advice, then they're automatically on your team. And we see that kind of compounding throughout. I think that's what's helped all of us have a various level of success. But it's difficult the first time to say, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee, or can I take some time? I'd just like to kind of understand how you do it. And the great thing is about everybody's in this room, and many of us in this section, everybody's willing to spend the extra time because we do want to see everybody succeed.
I just want a comment on that, and I just went through the different things that I do right now, and it's every last one of them are because it's based on a friendship that I had. Every single business opportunity I've come across, including the golf center, was based on a friendship and a relationship that I had developed over time. And being in this room together, getting to know each other, becoming friends, every time we do that, we get better and we have more opportunities to be successful. And I can't stress that enough, is yes, we become acquaintances, and then we become friends, and then all of a sudden we know each other really well. In fact, I can call any of these guys at any time, day or night, and I know they would gladly help me out, and that is just an awesome feeling.
Just one last thing. Believe it or not, playing golf is the best way to network in this business. Getting out to play in the golf tournament, signing up for the chapter, individual match play, or 4-ball, or section events, whether you're good or not, just to get out there, spend $90 to go play for 4 hours with the head pro or director of golf or general manager of a course. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So that's what I really try to instill. I don't know if you noticed, but Arroyo and Monarch, I mean, we have like 2 foursomes at the pro assistant. You know, I mean, if everyone would just kind of get on board with that, you want to talk about networking and instilling passion in your assistants, go out there and play golf with them.
Well, that $90 will help build up Michael's purse. It takes some.
And don't call it.
But I want to say one thing about just reaching out and asking on a note here is Bob Husband, who I thought just an amazing golf professional, started Heritage Golf, but before that he had Cobblestone, had 45 courses. I never met him, he was in San Diego, we never met. In one of the seminars, I heard him speak, and he said, just give me a call. So for me, this was a guy who I idolized, right? I mean, sold 2 companies, probably made more money than any golf professional ever. I mean, he sold it twice. He said it pretty well for himself. But when I asked him, he said, you know, I'd like to buy a cup of coffee. Like Todd says, I'll buy you lunch, come to my club. So I had lunch with him, and he said, John, in doing this and speaking about this for 30 years, you're the first person that ever asked me to actually come sit down and pick his brain, which is probably sad for a guy that's that smart and that good, right? So, but Bob now, I've known him for 8 years now, 9 years. He is a true mentor. We talk about things, bounce things off all the time. So I guess the key is just reach out, especially I think as golf professionals get more towards the twilight of their years, they want to help out and they want to give back. So I definitely encourage anyone to reach out to anybody that think might make them a little better.
Well, Susan, Sean, John, and Michael, thank you very much for being on our panel today, and thank you very much for allowing us to share some time. Well, Susan, Sean, John, and Michael, thank you very much for being on our panel today.